Welcome everyone. Thank you all so much for being here. I'm looking forward to this afternoon to hear from Dr. Blanson. Hopefully y'all will go away from this with something new you're learning about North Harris, or at least learning about what his goals are for North Harris, and a little bit more about him. Because I think a lot of times when you have a change in a president or leadership, you may not know who that person is or like what they're about or their story. And so I think this is a time for y'all to hear from him, hear about his plans, and get some of your questions answered. So thank you all to everyone who submitted questions. I really appreciate it. And those have been sent to Dr. Blanson. So he has been preparing to provide y'all those answers. And without further ado, I'm going to pass it off to Aldier. Is he on yet? He is not. Aldier is not on. Well, we're waiting for Aldier to join us. So I think all of y'all know about Student Life, hopefully. If not, oh, there he is. So Student Life, I'm the manager of Student Life here at Lone Star College North Harris. So our goal is to connect you with campus, to engage you in clubs and organizations and things going on campus, and then also to provide a space for you to belong to something bigger than yourself, to find community. So those are kind of our three core tenets that we follow. Within that, we do leadership programming, we have SGA, clubs and organizations, free events to attend, those sorts of things. And we have some SGA officers here who are going to help us out with the event. So again, without further ado, pass it off to Aldi here to get the event started.
Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you guys are doing great and staying safe. So let's start off with getting to know Dr. Blanson a little bit. Dr. Archie O. Blanson became interim president of Lone Star College North Harris in January 2020 before being named the president in October 2020. He previously served as Vice Chancellor of Student Services for Lone Star College, overseeing admissions, registrations, dual credit, disabilities, enrollment management, and numerous student services activities and partnerships. Prior to joining Lone Star College, Dr. Blanson devoted 39 years in education to Aldine ISD, finishing his career as Deputy Superintendent. Dr. Blanson graduated with a Bachelor's of Arts in Political Science from Southern University, a Master of Arts in Education Administration from Texas Southern University, and a PhD from Texas A&M University. Please join me in welcoming the President of Lone Star College North Harris, Dr. Blanson, to share with us his goals for Lone Star North Harris and answering our questions.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I am so excited about being the president. I am so excited about being here with you. You guys, I'm so impressed with Kelsey's work. Even in this era of COVID, she still finds ways to get her students involved. I so appreciate that. And Kelsey, I want you to know that I know everything that you do. I recognize everything you do, and I appreciate everything you do. But I want this to be really informal. I want to start off by sharing with you who I am. I'm the president of North Harris, but that's not really who I am. I need to tell you the backstory on how I got here, and I want you to know about my background. I was born in a little small rural town in Louisiana, northeast Louisiana, between Natchez, Mississippi and Monroe, Louisiana. A little town called Wisner. It still is a rural farming town. I am the seventh child of 10. And when you are the seventh, sixth, or fifth child of 10, all you're trying to do is to be recognized and not get lost in the shuffle, because there you've got 3 or 4 ahead of you, 3 or 4 behind you, and you're right there in the middle. And what's so funny about it is I go home now, and throughout my entire life, when I left high school and went back during college days, people would say, I just don't remember you. I remember your oldest brother, your oldest sister, but I just don't remember you. Well, I'm that one who was, kind of lost in the shuffle. But there was 10 of us in the house, then mom and dad, so there was 12 altogether. I am married. I have 3 kids. One is a principal. The middle one, the youngest one, is a physician in the Woodlands, and then my oldest, who is a daughter, is a OR nurse in Kingwood. and I'm very proud of them. But I do want you to know that they did not get anything handed to them. Everything that they got, they earned it. My wife and I believe that we should not take away the drive and desire from our children. So everything that they got, they earned. When they got expensive tennis shoes, when they were able to work and buy expensive tennis shoes. And guess what? When they were able to work and buy expensive tennis shoes, they didn't want them because I wasn't going to buy them. So everything that they got, they earned. My two boys worked in the summer as yard people. They cut grass for Aldine ISD, and my daughter was a receptionist. And they are hardworking, dedicated people to their profession, and I'm really proud of them. My parents were farmers. My mother was my father worked on the farm. My mother was a maid, housekeeper, whatever you want to call it. And my father finished 3rd grade, and I think my mother finished 6th grade. Both were very literate. But they did not get to go to school for a number of reasons. They had to drop out. Back in those days, as high as a black person could go in school was 6th grade anyway. So in that little hometown of ours. And so my mother made it to the max, and then she had to stop and go to work. So when I was in high school, I was a captain of the football team. And here's where the leadership part comes in. I was a captain of the football team. I ran track and I played basketball. And it's really interesting because you learn a lot of skills early in terms of how to be a leader by doing those type of things. A leader just doesn't mean at work or being the president of your organizational campus. It really start young age, and it could be in any of many different areas. But it was the first opportunity I had to show leadership skills when I had to motivate the team and rah-rah and set an example and work harder and run faster and stay before practice and after practice. That was the very first opportunity I had to share my leadership skills. The second opportunity was when I was in college. I graduated in December, so I went to college early in January. And my classmates came the following fall. And by December, 95% of them had flunked out or decided to drop out or whatever the case might be. And I decided, well, you know what? If I'm going to be successful in college, I've got to make friends, because I was down there by myself because everybody else was at home and decided to go to California and go to work. And so I decided to join a fraternity. And the interesting thing about it is I knew nothing, absolutely nothing about fraternities. And the first one that I saw the poster or the flyer, they called it smoker, about is the one that I went to. And I really enjoyed the seminar, and I said, well, I'll apply for this one. And it sounds good to me. I mean, I didn't know one from the other. So I signed up and I was accepted. The interesting thing about it is I went through the whole process. And at the end, I was so disenchanted. I said, you know what, the way they treated me, I'm not gonna be a part of this organization. That was my plan. So I didn't go to the first meeting of the organization. Did not go to the first meeting because I was upset and holding all these grudges based on the way I was treated. So little did I know that they saw something in me that I didn't see. They voted me as vice president, which doesn't really happen if you're not present and you deliberately don't show up. They voted me as vice president. Well, at that point, it was a turning point in my life, because I realized, well, if they have confidence in me to make me vice president, then I need to step up to the plate. What do I have to lose? The vice president is the guy behind the scenes that doesn't do anything. He's a figure, head, blah, 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 blah. Well, little did I know that 5 months later, the national office came down and expelled everybody, suspended everybody, the president and some other folks. And the only person that was left standing was me. He looked over at me, and the regional vice president said, you are the new president. You are the new president of this chapter. And again, it was one of those turning points, because I realized, oh my God, I've been in this organization for less than 5 months. There are people in this organization that are 8 years, 10 years older than me, who knew all the rules and regulations. I knew nothing other than the history that I learned about the organization. And again, I had to rise to the occasion. At that point, I decided, you know what? There's a reason why I've been put in this position twice, and I am going to make sure that I am a success. I was the president of my fraternity chapter for the entire time I was on campus, from 5 months after I was initiated to the time I graduated. Did a lot of neat things, and we focused on community service and go to high school, go to college, and we painted old ladies' homes, and we did a lot of public service projects, and we built relationships, and we built an academic record on campus as being the organization with the highest GPA. We did all of the things that you needed to do, but it took some convincing because, as someone who was 20 years old and everybody else was 23, 24, and 25, I had to figure a way to get these people to follow me. And the way I did that was by leading by example. I never asked them to do anything that I hadn't done, was out front leading. That's the way you lead. And it doesn't start, when you just get a job, but this starts early. I wanted them to see me out there. And after about 6 months of them looking at me and doing the things that I needed to do to make sure that the chapter was successful, they followed me. That set the foundation for everything else, leadership-wise, that have happened in my life. And I know you say, well, are you serious? You mean all the education, all the training? I'm telling you, being put in that position set the foundation for everything else that I did in terms of being successful as a leader. In 1979, I became a history teacher. I was one of those people who said to myself, there is no way ever I would be a teacher, ever, never become a teacher. Well, 6 weeks after I finished college, I became a teacher. And again, you may not think it, but that's a leadership role. I did that for a number of years, and my administrators recognized that I had potential, and I decided to go back to school and get teacher certification, get a master's degree in school administration. And I was promoted to assistant director. After serving as assistant director for about 5 years, I became the director of buildings and properties for the school system. I became an HR director, which was a great job. I really enjoyed being an HR director. I hired teachers. I traveled this country. I traveled the world, Germany, Japan, Spain, Philippines, you name it. I got to travel this entire United States, every corner of the United States. I got to travel and recruit teachers. And the rewarding thing was, I knew that I had a direct impact on what was happening in the classroom. I knew that what the teachers that I hired, there was a direct correlation between the quality of the teacher and the student achievement, student success in the classroom. So I was really proud of that job. From there, I became assistant superintendent for HR, and basically I managed all of the HR and all the directors in the department. That was my dream job. My entire life, I always wanted to be an HR person. I got to fulfill that for about 8 years. Then I became a deputy superintendent, and that deputy superintendent is kind of like chief operating officer. You're involved in everything. You're responsible for making sure the day-to-day operation of the school district happens, from the instructional side to the operational side. The beauty in that job was I got to lead the entire district. I had an opportunity to design buildings, schools. Every school, I guess probably the last 30 schools that the district built, I got to design those schools and really have fun doing so. In fact, I took a course at North Harris County College. At that time, it was North Harris County College, a blueprint reading course to give me some skills the skills that I needed to be able to do that. So I had a great time doing that. I retired, and I realized that I didn't like retirement. So that lasted about 30 days, and I became assistant professor at HBU. I was assistant professor also at UST, University of St. Thomas. Just two great institutions. Really enjoyed it. I taught at Sam Houston State for a number of years, taught at my alma mater, Texas A&M University, Prairie View, you name it. I've taught there, and I've just taught just about every course you can teach in education administration. I came out of retirement to become a vice chancellor for student success, which involved recruiting, retention of students, admission, registrar, and so on and so forth. I did that for about 7 months. Then I became interim president at Lone Star, and then October of this past year became the president of Lone Star College North Harris. And it's been my honor to be here. I've just had a great time being the president here. Some of the questions that you guys have asked, and if there's something about my past that you like to ask, just make a note, and I'll give you an opportunity in a little bit, and we can revisit that. But one of the questions that you guys asked was, what are some of the goals that I have for North Harris? And really, the main goal is I want to serve the community. I don't care if it's workforce, if it's transfer, if it's continuing ed, whatever the case might be. Community colleges are so unique. We have a different mission than a university. It's to serve the community and whatever the community needs are. And I want us to be the beacon. I want us to be the example. I want us to be the go-to place for workforce, for training, for skills, for transfer, for credits, for transfer. That's what I want us to be. And I want folks to say, find out how North Harris is doing it. If you look at the things that we've done in the last year with the enrollment and the enhancement in terms of recruiting and retention that we've done, RTV, we were leading the way with return to business plan a year ago. I just want North Harris to be the premier college, not just in the system, but in the state and in the country. So that's my goal. And of course, obviously I want the college to grow, because not just for finance, but when you're growing, it means that you're healthy. This is a great environment, and it's a healthy environment. Let me just give you a couple of words of wisdom when it comes to leadership and developing yourself, because you guys are in position now where it may not seem like you're in a position of leadership to some degree, but you really are. You from now to the rest of your career, you need to find mentors. I'm going to tell you, at this point in my life, at 40 years of working, I still have mentors. Why do I have mentors? Because you can't know the answer to everything. One of my mentors, they came up to see me a couple of months ago. They're still here. One is 95, one's 96, and one is 80. And they wanted to come see how the quote unquote kid was doing. I mean, those are mentors. These are people who've been in my life since 1979, who's advised me, who's given me advice that I really didn't want to hear, particularly when I made the statement before, at 41 years old, 42 years old, one of my mentors said, you need to go back to school and get a doctorate degree. I'd been out of school for almost 20 years. Why in the world at 43 I want to get a doctorate degree? But then I asked myself, you know what? I trust this person. They have nothing to gain by giving me bad information. And I've always followed their advice. And 2 weeks later, I was at Texas A&M enrolled in their doctorate program. My point is, if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to be vice chancellor, deputy superintendent, or interim or president of North Harris College. You have to have people in your life that you can trust, and you trust their opinion. Even when you don't understand it well, just know that this person is here for me, to advise me. And I've had that my entire life. And I know you think, well, at your age, why would you do that? Because I still don't know everything. There are people right now that I bounce things off of. Tell me what you think tell me what you think if this. These people will tell you, it need to be a person who you respect. It need to be a person that's going to tell you the facts, tell you exactly the truth, not what you want to hear, but the truth. And so you need to have that. But you also need that person to be able to promote you. And I mean to invest time in you and promote you, because you need someone who, when you're not in the room, that are talking about you. These people talk about you when you're not in the room. Like I was talking about Kelsey this morning to her supervisor. We had a long conversation about her skills and things that she's doing. You need people like that in your life. If you don't have the opportunity to stand in front of your boss down the road or your supervisor down the road, but your mentor will. Your mentor will. So you make sure that you find, and you don't need 15, 20 different people, just find you 2 or 3 good people who judgment. And it doesn't have to be an education, doesn't have to be a college student, a college degree person, just somebody who you value opinion. And when they tell you to do something, you say to yourself, that's for my good, I'm going to do that. And I promise you, if you do that, you're going to be successful. When will classes be available in person again? You know, that's something that we've been working on. Let me tell you how things work. We look at the schedule. As the schedule's filled, the face-to-face fill, we add one. Fills up, we add one. When it gets to about 85%, we add another class. So it depends on you guys. Now, I tell you now, we are going to request more classes face-to-face on campus for the fall, but this spring semester, and even with the next start, it depends on if the classes fill up. If they fill up, I promise you, we will continue to add classes. Hopefully, COVID will stabilize and we'll be able to bring more back on campus. But again, if you don't register for them, we will delete them and keep it online. So it's very important that you let us know how you feel about that. What is North Harris doing to keep you safe? Oh my goodness, I could go on and on, but just from the check-in stations rather, throughout the campus, contact tracing, where we can tell you the 3 people that came into a building before you, the 3 people that came after you, the masks, the hand sanitizers in the classroom, the small classroom, the virtual appointments for student services, student success, for financial aid. All of those things are in place to make sure that you are protected. We can tell you to the minute who came into any building at any given time. And we have a list of who's been quarantined, who's been sent home, who can't come to the building, and it is tracked with the help of, with the work of the system office. I've been to malls, I've seen the restaurants, I've seen department stores and grocery stores when I go to. Folks, let me tell you, trust me, you are in the safest place that you can be right here on this campus. Think about what you see when you go to the mall, when you go to the restaurant. You don't see all of the different checks and balances. And to this day, not one case, not one person has been infected with COVID on this campus. Folks have brought it to their peers, but no person has been infected on this campus. They've contracted COVID from someplace else, from their work, from their home, from the church, from the mall to someplace else, but nobody's contracted here. So we're doing a lot of different things. The library isn't open yet. This is how the system works. We've had different versions of RTB, Return to Business. RTB 1.1, that was back in January. We're at 1.6, different revisions of what can open, how we do things, and what have you. We're at 1.6 now. Hopefully, we will move toward 1.7 by the fall semester. If we do, we're going to include, we have to get permission, but we're going to include in our request in 1.7 that we open the library up on a limited basis for the summer, maybe even the fall, depending on when our folks ask for 1.7. Now, I will tell you that Maggie and I are working currently on the Learning Center. That's something that we want to happen within the next few weeks. So I went up last Friday and checked it out. Everything is all spaced. So we're going to do appointment only for the Learning Center. And if that works, then we can move that model over to the library as soon as possible. So we're working on it. And please continue to ask those type of questions, because we will only do something if there's a need to do it and there's a request to have it done. Keep that in mind. The next question, how is North Harris College different? Let me see. How are we, in terms of looking at other programs such as fashion design, culinary, gaming classes, and those types of things? We're always open to different classes and adding new programs. There is a process, and the process is in place for a reason. We just don't add things. We have to do an industry request. So let's assume that retailers or Halliburton or some industry say, we need this in our industry. We do a market analysis, we do forecasting, we do student surveys to see if there's an interest. If there's no need in offering a program, if there's no interest in the program. After all of that's been done, then we send it to system office and we do a cost analysis to see if it's cost effective to offer the program. Will we have a feeder program that will sustain itself over time? And after about 6 months or so, if all of that checks out, then we add the program if it's cost feasible and we have enough interest in the program. So if you have any items that you're interested, or program rather, that you're interested in us adding, just submit them to the Vice President for Instruction, Dr. Yanesi, and we will go through that process. You can send it to Kelsey can send it to Dr. Yanesi, either way. But these things, they do not happen overnight. It is a 6 months to 8 month process. There are 5 or 6 committees that has to look at it, but we will run it through the process. What kind of legacy would I like to leave at Lone Star College North Harris? I really just want people to say, I just wanted to serve students, and I wanted every student on this campus to have the same opportunity for an education that I had. It was hard for me because I didn't have the resources. I mean, you guys, I know look, everybody talk about their generation and how hard it was and that kind of thing. I had nothing, absolutely nothing when I started. And between work study, and my mother gave me $25 when I went off to college and a kiss. That was it, $25 and a kiss. And from that point on, it was up to me. And I didn't expect any more than that because that's all, she probably gave me all she had at the time. My point is, I just want to serve. I've had a great opportunity to earn a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, and a doctorate degree. I just love learning, and I want you guys to have the same opportunity that I've had to earn your degree. And whenever there's an opportunity for you to take a leadership role, please, now is the time to do it. Practice your skills, learn the mistakes that you've made and correct them, and in the next opportunity, implement those corrections. So with that, I think I've answered most of the questions. And Kelsey, we can do Q&A or whatever you like to do at this point.
Yeah, for sure. So I know there's questions that came on the chat. And so one of them said, from your perspective, what are potential skills that a leader should have or work on?
Well, you know what, you really do need to have empathy skills. You need to be able to empathize, and folks don't necessarily want you sympathizing, with them. They want you to have empathy in their situation. You have to be able to listen, and people can tell right off the bat whether you're listening to them or not, because just nodding your head won't do it. You have to listen when someone comes to you with an issue. But one of the things that you also need to do, and I do on a regular basis, I make sure, and my staff I think will tell you this, I make sure they know everything that I can possibly tell them. I don't keep secrets. If it's a budget problem, they know about the budget problem. If there's a problem with a personnel issue, I let the people know who need to know about personnel. I try to keep them as informed as possible. The other one is, you have to make yourself available. No matter how busy I am, I want my folks to understand that you can come and see me, because small problems become big problems. And, I'm one of those people who really, really hate surprises. I don't like birthday surprises. I don't like anything that has to do with a surprise. Just tell me what's going on. And so consequently, my folks know that at any point in time, we have scheduled meetings once a week, but you can come walk in my office at any point in time. So you have to make yourself available. You can't be aloof to your people who work with you and for you. But also, you've already mentioned this, and this is an example. I'm going to use Maggie, who is on the line here also, is that I have watched her for the last year, and she's never asked for people to do anything that she hasn't done. And I think you guys would attest to that. I've seen her work in check-in desks. I've seen her work in parking lot. I've seen her working admission, you name it. I've seen her work in every area. And I think that's probably the main reason why she's gained so much respect in the department and definitely in the cabinet, is because she's never asked anybody to do anything that she hasn't done or couldn't do or wouldn't do. She's done it all. So when people start talking to her, she can relate to them. So it's those types of things you have to be able to. You have to lead by example.
For sure. You're getting a lot of love in the chat too. They're really appreciative of you and thankful for you to being the president here.
Thank you.
I know, Katrina, your question, she asked about like fraternities and sororities at North Harris. I can talk to you later, Katrina, about that and kind of the opportunities there. Just so glad that you're a president. You're such a great leader. I did have some people ask about some, like, I guess, logistical things. So someone asked about President's List and if that was going to be a thing with certificates. So
yeah, that's something that I wanted. That's something that I wanted to do. I thought there was a history of doing certificates, but it was sporadic. But yes, there will be something. And we used to call it the Dean's List. And it was basically, when I was in school, it was the Dean's List. But I do want to bring that back, and there will be certificates. Absolutely. You need to be recognized. Folks, I still have my Dean's List, my first one. I don't know what I have the rest of them, but I have my first Dean's List certificate. It's 6 by 6 inches, and I am so proud of that. And believe it or not, I showed it to my kids, showed it to my grandkids. So you need to have that. Maybe it's not a big deal now, but it'll become a big deal when you're trying to motivate your child to go to school.
Yeah, and then Maggie said President's List will go out in a couple weeks. So
there you go.
That's good to know. And then I know I've seen a few questions come in about commencement for this semester. If a drive-through opportunity would be available to them, or will it be similar to last year where it's virtual? Kind of words.
Yeah, we're still working on it. It's going to be virtual. We have to get our directions from system office, so it's going to be virtual. But we're going to have goodie bags and those types of things also. So you still will have an opportunity to come by and pick up a memento or something of that nature. We're still in the planning stages, but we're going to make sure we celebrate. We are going to celebrate. We're going to call your name, and your folks will be able to log in and see your face, because you're going to submit. Those who are graduating will be able to submit a picture, and so you are going to be promoted, and you're going to be highlighted. So we're working on it, and it's going to be fabulous.
And then just for everyone on the call, I saw that some of y'all had submitted some questions that are specific to like refunds and transfer programs and those sorts of things. I'll connect y'all directly with the people in charge of those areas so that you can work directly with the person. But other than that, does anyone else have any questions? I saw came through.
I'm not going to comment in detail about fraternities and sororities, but I will say this. If you have an opportunity when you transfer to your four-year institution, do that, join that. There's no doubt in my mind that it was the single most important thing that I did when I went to college by joining an organization, any of them. I mean, all of them were the same for all practical purposes. Now, my brothers would probably, shoot me if they heard me say that, but the purpose is the same, but it connects you. And folks, you will have friends for the rest of your life. That you will have people you can count on for the rest of your life. And it's something that you really do need to consider when you transfer to your four-year institution.
For sure. And I'll agree with you on that, because I know with my sorority experience, it put me in places to get me to where I'm at today. So, right. And that, applies to any organization or any group or community thing that you get connected with. It's going to put you in a place to move you on and up, and you'll take skills from those. Someone asked about making events accessible for students who do not have social media. Connie, I know that's something that we're exploring, just accessibility with events, trying to put them on diverse platforms and stuff like that. Like, for example, we're recording this. It's going to be put in the president's newsletter next month, so students will have access to this recording to hear from Dr. Blanson. So I think there's things that we're looking at to increase accessibility, but also increase when it comes to reaching students too. Yeah. Not just, making sure they have access to it, but do they know about things going on? So.
Okay. Perfect.
But I don't see any other questions.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's been a pleasure. I have enjoyed it. And anytime Kelsey invites me back, I will be back.
Well, thank you. No, and I definitely appreciate your support for student life and the clubs and organizations, and just your passion for that involvement. I've seen it, and hopefully the students have seen it through this presentation. So I will let Daniela close for us and introduce herself.
Okay.
Hello guys, my name is Daniela Tapia. I'm the Vice President of SGA. We want to say thank you, Dr. Blanson, for sharing your goals for LSC North Harris and answering questions from the students. We truly appreciate your leadership and cannot wait to see where and how you lead North Harris and leave your mark here. Thank you for everyone who attended today's event.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah, and if y'all have questions in the future, feel free to send them to me. I will make sure whoever needs to get it will get it, because I don't want y'all to feel like y'all are in the dark. So have a wonderful afternoon or an evening. It's already 4 o'clock. Can't believe it. The day has flown by, but thank y'all so much.